Hello and welcome to the 9th video in my series of setting up Microsoft Flight Simulator with external hardware, and this one goes back to the X-Touch Mini using Axis and Ohs as the software, and this time we're going to look at the Layer B Rotary controllers. If you saw the previous video, you would have seen that you can allocate two different commands to every button and every rotary controller, and there's layer A and layer B. So we're going to work on layer B today, and what we're going to program are the rotary controls on the primary flight display and the main flight display, the bottom right hand knob here. And this is on the primary flight display, and it's got a large and a small, an outer and an inner knob that we can turn, and you've got a push switch on the end, and we also really need the enter button as well. So I'm going to put that on to the end of this rotary controller. So we've got the push there, and this is the enter one. We're also going to look at programming the barometer that controls the pressure here. So we'll look at controlling that. And on the main flight display, we'll look again at this bottom button here, the outer, the inner, and the push on the end of that. That's here. And we'll also look at controlling VOR2, and I'll demonstrate how that works later. So let's get started. And we'll have everything live so you can see what's going on. Okay, I hope the screen doesn't get too cluttered. So the first thing we're going to look at is this control here. Previously, to find out how it was controlled, I would bring up the watch events, but this doesn't show anything. Nothing comes up for us when we can control it. Even if I make it active by pressing here, you can see it's working, but it's not revealing itself. That hasn't been captured. So what we need to do is use a bit of intuition, and when we add this, we know it's the 1000, and we know it's the primary flight display. We've been here before. So a little bit of hunting through here. We know it's the lower switch, and it's that one there to decrement it. Make sure we're on layer B here. Turn that, add it, and now we need to test it and check we've got it right. So nearest, and that's working. Okay, so now we'll do the increment version of that. And again, we'll test that. That's working, going both directions, so that's okay. And we'll do the same for the inner button now. Oops, wrong one. And we'll add the push for this one here. The FMS push on the end of this one here. And the last one is to put the enter button on that one there. That's this one here. Add that to this one here. Okay, so they're added. The next thing I want to look at is the barometer setting. Again, if you watch the key events here, and I'm turning the outer knob, it uses here a slightly old-fashioned name, usually more associated with setting the altimeter here, the Colesman. But if we do our search on Axis and Ohs for what's on the A1000 in HTML variables, so we'll go back to here, same with filter. You see that's quite inviting to use the barometer decrement and increment, so I think I'll go with that one. We'll assign that to here. And we'll just give it a test. Let's get rid of that. So we'll do the barometer, test up, and that's down. So that's working fine. It works fine for the A1000. But if you wanted to copy and paste that somewhere, use that template for a more steam-driven gauge version, you might be better to use the Colesman, because then you can reuse that. You can reuse that script quite happily. Okay, well that's it for that side. We've done those and those. So now we really want to move over to the MFD, the main flight display. So again, we're going to simulate this button here. And we'll just change the filter but it's going to look very much the same. So we're into the MFD and the lower decrement, and that's going to be this one here. The outer is the lower one. And there's the lower increment. Allocate that one. And we'll do the same for the upper controller. Upper decrement. And the upper increments. And then the push switch for the same. Upper push. That's that one being pushed. And we can add that. So we'll just check that this over here is working. So that's it going clockwise, anti-clockwise, so that's working absolutely fine. Press the button to get a cursor. And that's working clockwise, anti-clockwise, so that's working fine. Now we'll return that back to the map so we're not distracted by that. So that's working fine. So that's done. So I want to change the range here so that, in fact it's the range, sorry, on this one here, so that we can control the map. Bring that up again. And here's range. And we'll assign the decrement first. So down we go. Add. And now we'll add the increment version. We'll test that. So there's the range. And that's working absolutely fine. Now I said I'd look at the VOR2. So if I look here on the primary flight display, I can change which VOR we're working with. And it'll be in the normal world working with this one here. So I can change and rotate VOR1. Let's put that up to there. And if I change the CDI here to VOR2, I can change that independently. I'm quite happy with that. If I put this back to the one program before, course 1, I can control VOR1 but but I can't control VOR2. So what I want to do is to put onto layer B the action to control VOR2. So there's the VOR1. I want to put a similar command in the VOR2 onto layer B. So we'll filter for VOR2. VOR2 decrement there. So make sure we're on layer B and assign that. Add. Same filter as before. VOR2 increment. So now I should be able to adjust VOR2. I've got control of both VORs. Layer A would control VOR1, layer B would control VOR2. Okay, so I think that's everything that we need to do, and we'll just check a few other things. So if we go to here, let's try the flight plan. If I wanted to add things to the flight plan, I bring up the cursor and to move to the next entry, move that using this button here. And let's enter where we are now. Doncaster, Sheffield, press enter. And that will be into the flight plan. Okay, so that's it for this video. I will do the buttons that I need for layer B in the next video, and then I can feel a demonstration coming on to show how to use these functions here. Now we've got them programmed in. Okay, I'll see you at the next one.